Welcome, everyone. It's Andrew Beach, Executive Coach. I'm a teacher of self-education. I help professionals like you communicate your value to find great opportunities faster, whether you're working or not. I do that through a branded networking process. And if you're interested in coming on live, I did put a link in the description, and I also put a link in the chat. So if you could please access that, you're welcome to come on live and get free coaching. That's what today is. Today, every Friday, actually, at 3:00 p.m. Pacific time, I will join you live to answer all your questions about career. And if you like, if you're courageous enough, you could come on live and let me know what's on your mind, and I could help you work through a problem, a challenge, whatever that looks like. You don't have to activate your webcam if you don't want to, I suppose, but that's up to you. I can certainly come on and help you a lot more tangibly if you come on live with me. So today is September 4, 2020, and we're on the cusp here of Labor Day. So I think many of us, at least it hasn't been lost on me that the vacation or the holiday, I mean, it seems like every day is kind of, I don't know how to describe it. Every day seems like the next. It's kind of like Groundhog Day, I suppose, in that it doesn't feel yet like we're back to normal. And I don't know if you're feeling those feelings or not, but I'm here to answer your questions. And so if you're on a platform like LinkedIn, welcome. There should be a share button down below. The thing that would really help me get this community to the next level really is to share this with your social channels. If you're on LinkedIn, just click the share button. If you're on something like YouTube, fine, and you're watching the replay, click the share button down below. If there's something that you discovered today that you think somebody could benefit from inside your network, then by all means, let's go ahead and do that. Let's share it and spread the word. And you can access the chat. Let me know if you can hear me all right. Sometimes I come onto this thing and we just never know if the audio is coming through or not. So if somebody can just ping the audio, let me know we're doing okay. One of the things that really occurred to me this week is that LinkedIn, in all of its grandeur, 670 million plus accounts, still has people on it that are communicating to some degree a brand they may not want. And one of the things I was thinking about today is perhaps the idea or thoughts around how not to appear desperate on LinkedIn. There's many people who advocate using the open to work hashtag. And you've probably seen that around people's photographs, open to work. And then when you do that, for whatever reason, LinkedIn is sending a post to your entire network, letting them know that, hey, you're open to work and you're out looking for opportunities. And I kept making a claim, funny enough, that good to see you, Terry. Funny enough, I kept making a claim, hey, show me one person on LinkedIn that's not open to opportunities. And I would like to talk to them. And funny enough, I did a search just a moment ago on LinkedIn and I said, hey, I searched the key phrase, not open to opportunities. And there was actually 50,000 results. So I guess I can't say that one anymore. So I took the not out of the phrase and I did a search and I came up open to opportunities and I got 1.2 million results. So there's still a fair number of people out there communicating on their profile that they're open to opportunities. I'm open to opportunities. In fact, I had a recruiter reach out to me just this last week with a job posting in Ferndale, Nevada, asking if I was open to relocation and would I consider an opportunity. And I set up my ears. My ears is always open. I don't know about yours, but my ears are always open. Okay. And so, yes, exactly right. There's a hashtag associated with that, open to work. And, maybe I could just do a quick search on that and just let you know. There it is. How many people are following that hashtag? Okay. There's only 63,000 people following that, less than 63,000 following that hashtag. So let's think about your area of expertise. If you were to be a hiring manager and you come here to LinkedIn, on your version, it's probably called Recruiter. So you got a lot more features and functions. What would you put in the search box to find somebody that was needing to fill a need that you had, right? If I had a need, say for someone like me, maybe I'm talking training and development. Training development, I'm going to put in these keywords and then manager, okay? Training development manager. And what I'm looking for, can I filter by hashtag? I guess I can't. So I'm going to use the hashtag training and development. There it is. There's a hashtag right at the top. Okay. That's not a good example. 7,000. How about just training? Training. Okay. 183,000 people following the hashtag training. So if we're talking hashtags, that's maybe a side note, is that let's follow the hashtags that or use the hashtags that people are actually following. And they're not following the one called open to work. They're following a one called training or development or sales, right? They're following hashtags that relate to something they're interested in. So if I'm a hiring manager looking for somebody with expertise in training, I'm not going to type open to opportunities in the search box. Now, I'm not suggesting that demonstrates that that validates that you're desperate, but it's communicating desperation, and it's communicating a brand that you may not want be attached to. Is your brand job seeker? So if there's 1.2 million people that have open to opportunities on their profile, does that differentiate you enough as a job seeker to get noticed? Maybe, maybe not. My guess is maybe not. And I have felt that if I go to this website and I'm looking for people that have a certain expertise, I'm going to be searching for said expertise, not the fact that you're open to opportunities, because, nowadays, and I'm sure Terry could probably validate this in the chat, they're looking for the best candidate. That may be somebody that's not advertising that. It could be a passive candidate. It could be, we want a diverse talent pool, right? As a hiring team, we want to find the best candidate. And that not always is somebody open to opportunities. That's somebody with a specific skill set that we're seeking. Now that, part of that's reactive. And until I actually recognize that I have that need, I may not be looking for it. However, that doesn't mean, I also think a lot about things like high school or college football. Do you think the athletic director in college football has got a short list of replacements for his coach? Maybe 10, 12 people on a list that he just keeps it, pinging, every 3 to 6 months, he's interacting with these people. And my suspicion is, yes, every athletic director, probably for every position he hires, has got a list of also rans, if you want to call them that, or best potentials for next coach, because things happen. Coaches get hired away, coaches quit, coaches die, coaches get fired, right? He may have to replace that person. And if you don't have a short list of people and you start cold, you don't have relationship, you're not getting that coach. Okay. So I think it's the same is true for hiring managers, is that they may have a list of needs that they have, but they don't recognize they need it yet. But if I'm incubating my relationship with them as my list, I'm the athletic director in this example, okay? And I've got a list of 10 or 12 hiring managers that I'm interacting with at a company or in an industry, then I feel like I'm in the driver's seat. So that's interesting. I just noticed the LinkedIn news. They say here the jobless rate drops to 8.4%. Do you guys remember what it was 9 months ago? 9 months ago, what the jobless rate was 9 months ago? Anybody? Let me know in the chat. I'd like to hear what you think it was 9 months ago. It was probably a third of that. But that said, that's interesting. U.S. economy added 1.4 million jobs in August, pushing the unemployment rate to 8.4. Back below 10%, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so we're headed in a positive direction. So that's the first thing. Is this open to opportunity in the circle? I was almost thinking about doing a parody on that hashtag in a frame around my photograph, and have that be hashtag desperate for work, or desperate for job seeker in desperation, or desperate job seeker. We should, put in the chat It was about half that. Yeah, that's what I suspected, Terry. So put in the chat, what hashtag do you think we should create that would be kind of a parody on that? And we could create our own little photo frames. What do you guys think? Good. Showing 3 results. There actually is no hashtag called desperate job seeker that you can follow, but there are posts using the hashtag desperate job seeker. Interesting. Okay. Out of a job. Okay. I'm going to have to go back and read some of these, but anyway, I got sidetracked. Good afternoon, Chelsea. Good to see you. So let me know what you think that would be, just kind of a fun thing that we could maybe do and poke fun at at LinkedIn. And maybe I just put it up there for a while because I have to use my profile for other things. But anyway, what was the consensus? There is no consensus on the hashtag open to work. We're talking really about the concept of what a brand means and how do we want to present ourselves on LinkedIn so that we can get the most out of the platform. Now, if I use the open to work hashtag and I have the photo frame, the little green thing around my face, then I'm really demonstrating to people that I'm a job seeker, and that isn't the brand that I maybe want. And so if I did a search as a hiring manager for your skills, I probably wouldn't use those keyword phrases or that hashtag to find you. So it's the type of thing that where you're searching for a need. You're trying to fill a need as a hiring team. What is the need, the problem that you solve? That's what I want to display in my headline. That's what I want to put forward in my posts, in articles that I write, in messages I send, is a topic. So it's really shifting from my need to a topic. And I think that's a good way to position it, is if we look at a need, I need a job, I need income, I have needs. We all have needs, don't get me wrong. But over here we have brand, and that says, hey, this is the topic I'm interested in. I'm interested in how are, for instance, companies building community and engagement through remote work teams. Everybody's work from home. And so if I have, as a professional, been able to help remote work teams engage with each other at a high level and get high performance, that's a key skill today, because not a lot of leaders have that expertise. When you're all in one place, it's much easier to build rapport and trust, have side conversations, etc. When you work from home, it's a little more, formal business. There isn't a lot of side conversations going on unless you make them happen. So, hi, Tracy. Welcome. Good to have you. So that's the first thing. And then it really comes down to what you post on LinkedIn does have traction. And I've seen people posting things that are like, hey, I'm looking for work. If you have any ideas for me, reach out. If it's the ones I've seen that are intriguing, those where there's a personal story involved. And yes, you may be in the marketplace, but it's a hero's journey. Think of your process, and you can look up what a hero's journey is. We won't go through that today, but do a little research on what a hero's journey looks like. What are the steps to that? What did they overcome? Right? In fact, a lot of times the STAR method or the SOAR method or whatever you want to call it is based on that. It's a hero's journey. And those kind of posts I think are actually really compelling, is if you can demonstrate your strength, your skill through a hero's journey, even though you're looking for work, that you're maybe volunteering in some capacity, doing pro bono work, working on a project. We talk a lot about that on the podcast. In fact, if you haven't yet downloaded my podcast, I do it with Scott Picard Jones. It's jobseekersradio.com. You can go there and it's free. I mean, we have so many free resources, you'd be shocked. You can download a networking checklist. You can download the anatomy of a networking conversation. There's a lot of resources, folks, that we have available for you that are free, including this Friday session. So if you want to come on live, there should be a link in the chat depending on your platform. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have about networking, interviewing, LinkedIn, best practices, and that sort of thing. If you have any questions, if you prefer to put those in the chat, happy to answer. So I was also going back through some of my messages and looking at, the outreach that people have to me, and your approach really matters. I get people soliciting me all the time, and I try to hold back, being too forward or abrupt, or how should I say it? I try to be diplomatic in my responses, and I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. And it's interesting when I hear of people that are reaching out to people and not responding, right? Or people not responding to people that reach out to you. I just I don't think that's comprehensible to me. I just personally wouldn't do that unless you're off base, right? If you're off base and you're self-interested and you're trying to sell me something, and all your interest is in separating me from my money, and that's where you start from. Wow, that can be extrapolated. So sales really could be extrapolated to job search if we think about it from that perspective. Is that sales is the art of asking questions to identify customer need and then offering a solution to satisfy that need. That really is what sales is. Now, yes, there's contracts and negotiation, and there's a lot of process involved in that, but so is there in job search. What website was it? My podcast, or where the resources are? So Melanie, just be more specific when you put in those. See, the challenge is when you hear what I said is a delay. It's like I think 12-second delay or something like that. So if you're typing in something related to what I have said, it's likely something that I've moved on to some other conversation. But if you have questions, I'd like to see questions in the chat. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to talk about me or some topic, but I am here to interact with you. And if you want coaching, it looks like somebody popped in here but popped out. So you don't have to activate your webcam if you don't want to. I'll just throw in my headphones, and if you want to ask me a question, by all means, go ahead. There should be, if I'm incorrect, let me know, but there should be resources available in the description of this video, this live stream up at the top somewhere. There should be that. Good. Orlando, thank you so much. I do appreciate that. There is a framework, and he's outlined it exceptionally well, is that there is a framework for a hero's journey. And I think that's really compelling to be on your LinkedIn About section. Maybe even a way for you to write some articles on LinkedIn that you could share. It's really kind of an interesting process when you start thinking about it. So if you have that need, or you want to somehow utilize that kind of framework or that idea, sounds like Orlando's got some thoughts around that. So this is a community too, by the way. If you're in the chat and you're hanging out together and you want to connect with other people, put your LinkedIn profile in the chat and let's get people connected. What are your needs? Share those with each other. Feel free, if you see anybody's name or face or whatever in the chat, go to their page, go to their profile on LinkedIn and connect with them. Okay. If you're on some other platform, then go to my profile page. I guess I could put that in the chat. And you'll see the video. And when you see the video, just go ahead and access that under, what is that? Under activities. So if you go to my profile and scroll down to activities and view all, you should see the video from this. But so if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, that's fine. And then you can see all the people that are joining us from LinkedIn. I think that's kind of the preferred method because I am broadcasting on Facebook, Twitter under the Periscope brand, YouTube and LinkedIn all at the same time through Restream. That's the beauty of Restream. And I just got an email notification right before the stream that they had secured their Series A, $50 million. So congratulations to Restream. So far, it's a wonderful service. The customer service is exceptional. They respond quickly. Good. Terry put his in there. I mean, so if anyone wants to connect with Terry, please, by all means, go into the chat, click on his link and connect with him. And then I would follow up on top of that and schedule conversations with each other. It's networking for a reason, right? To help each other be better at the networking. So think of it as networking practice. And you'd be surprised how many people would have an opportunity to share something with you that you might find valuable, and vice versa. You might be able to help somebody out, pay it forward, pay it forward. One of the things that most of the people I've talked to who have been, out of work before, wish they would have done is kept their network active when they were working. And in this situation, I do know a number of people who barely had onboarded at a place or were at the finals in the interviews when the pandemic hit. So they had an active network, and it's like starting from zero again. Once you get that far and you feel like it's over, you feel like you can just let off the gas. It's not something I would advocate. Not something I would advocate. So, but really the topic today is up to you. If you want questions answered, I'm just talking around some thoughts, some ideas that I had run across just this week. And that's mainly, people's interest. And so here's the other part. The way that you would look desperate on LinkedIn is to have a first role in experience. The first role that appears there be something like looking for my next great opportunity or unemployed. Okay. Now, when you do a search as a hiring manager and you're looking for somebody and you have the advanced version of LinkedIn, the first thing you see is unemployed or open to opportunities. You'd be like, well, that's weird. I don't think that guy's for me, because I want to see something like, hey, I was an executive director at Bain, or I was, I don't know, a CFO at Boeing, or whatever. Okay. So that's what I'm really talking about here is if you look at the first role in experience, it doesn't matter if it has an end date or not. You do not and are not required, by the way, to have a current role in experience. Although LinkedIn is going to come to you every 5 minutes and say, hey, Andrew, are you sure about that? Are you sure you don't have a current role in experience? Yep. I'm sure. I'm sure I'm unemployed. You don't need to keep, kicking the dirt in my face about it. Well, just recognize why that exists. Why that exists. It exists because LinkedIn's algorithm assumes, their AI assumes that your data is wrong, that it's incorrect. And they make money off of data. So if your data is wrong or incorrect, or they believe that you're needing to refresh your data so that they can continue to maintain their data supremacy in order to, let's say, earn revenues and profits, then they're going to continue to ask you to do that. And what it is, to be honest, it's really preying on people's insecurities. And that's one of the reasons. So one of the reasons I am really not a huge fan and don't spend a lot of time anymore on Facebook is because of their use of psychological means to get people addicted to their platform. I'm not a fan of that they were doing that in secret. Anyway, we could go on a long tirade on the different social channels. But the one thing I love about LinkedIn is professional. It's a paid platform for a lot of people. Therefore, there's a lot of built-in filters, accountability, and reporting features that they actually follow up on. And that means that accounts that are invalid get eliminated almost immediately. Good. So question up by Chelsea. Anyone here looking for remote work? How is that looking? I'm guessing working. How's that working for you? So one of the things that's funny about remote work is I'm going to assume everybody is hiring remote, unless you're, say, a driver for FedEx or going to work for Amazon, delivering packages, or in a warehouse where physical presence really makes a difference. I'm guessing all information workers are remote. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing people interview remote, onboard remote. They get their assets shipped to their house, including their onboarding package, their computer systems, stipends to build out a home office. Okay. That's what's happening. And if you're looking for remote work, I would assume that every opportunity is remote. I had somebody contact me about opportunities in Nevada. And it's in a location that's not very desirable, Ferndale or Fernley or something like that. I think it's out where what you call it is the Gigafactory. What's that car company that's making all them electric cars? I think it's down in that neck of the woods. So yeah, Chelsea, to answer, if that's a question you're answering, I'm sure people may or may not be looking for remote work, but that's what they're getting. Everybody is. So maybe that's the line we draw, is that it's not that people can't find remote work, it's that they're getting remote work because that's what's available. So good deal. So are you finding remote work jobs? Yeah, every job is remote work. Every job is remote work. So the cat is out of the bag. What is that? What's that all about, Cleon? What do you mean by that? Good. Good. I started out a post on my Facebook, who has lost their job to COVID, and seeing if we can work together, put our heads and skills together to maybe do something together. Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that really helps is having an accountability team. And by accountability team, I mean, if you have a group of people like yourself that are going through a career transition and you're out looking for opportunities, there's proven research behind this, actually, that people who get together and do it together, work on it together. I mean, maybe even you have a Zoom room open and you guys just have a work session together. You actually get better results. And that's something that I think we talked about a couple of weeks ago regarding what's in the What Color's Your Parachute book that talks about job clubs. Job clubs, they're not around much anymore because of a lot of reasons, but it's hard work. Doing the networking is hard work. Going out and talking to people you don't know, that's hard work. What's easy? Easy is hitting one-click apply on LinkedIn, right? Easy apply. Anyway, good. The algorithm you spoke about at LinkedIn. Yeah, no, LinkedIn is very, very private about their algorithm. In fact, I just read something today that I thought was interesting that I didn't really think would happen on LinkedIn, and that is the algorithm's actually sophisticated enough to know that you're stuffing your profile with keywords. I thought that, wow, that's interesting. So they really are going to deliver search results to you based on your own profile and based on your actions, posts, etc. on LinkedIn. So your search results will be different than mine for the same search strings. And the person that shows up at the top, I think, has a lot more to do in alignment with profile pages than with the actual content, if that makes sense. So what does that mean? That means if I'm trying to attract a hiring manager, I want to have some of the same things on my profile that they do. I think that's what that's telling me. But I don't want to egregiously put keywords all over my profile. Okay. Let's see. What if you don't use Facebook or Twitter? Is that a negative? No, it's not a negative. But so the reason I bring those platforms up is because Facebook is much larger than LinkedIn. And so let's extrapolate what that means. That means that there's more people there for which you could have conversations. So Facebook is equally effective in facilitating networking. Is it going to help you identify hiring managers at target companies? Maybe not as well as LinkedIn. But I do know people who have profiles on both, and they're just not active on LinkedIn. But they are active on Facebook. Why? Because they have a solid career. They know where they are. They know they're going to stay there for at least a certain amount of time, or have been for a certain amount of time. And they use Facebook for personal reasons, to stay in touch with family, friends, see pictures of kids across the country, etc. So, so I don't think it's negative, but I think you might want to understand, where does your hiring team hang out? So so for example, if I'm looking for brands like let's say Instagram. Let's use Instagram as an example. If I'm looking to connect with people who are creative designers at Nike, where do you think they're hanging out? Do you think they're hanging out on LinkedIn? Not likely. They're probably hanging out on Instagram. Why? Because they're visual people and they're taking photographs or sharing images. So anything related to imagery and interacting with design folks, they're probably more likely on Instagram. Okay. Let's see. Twitter is more like a water cooler, right? So it's you hanging around the water cooler and having a conversation. So that's what that means. So let's see here. Is anyone noticing that your resume is not getting noticed? The role is put on hold or pause. Yeah. So again, the ATS, the applicant tracking system, is a process-driven system. And once your stuff is in there, you don't know who sees it or when it's going to get reviewed, or even if you're in the mix. So keep that part in mind. Oh, looks like we got somebody in here. So if you're going to, just a heads up, if you're going to join me live, make sure that you turn off your LinkedIn side of the house. So what happened when Cleon came on is he clicked the link, and we could hear him and we could hear the audio from the live stream. So we don't want to create an echo. But yeah, I'm not noticing a consistent removal of opportunities from the web. But I am seeing people who network get interviews and offers. That's what I'm seeing. So let's see who's joining us here today. Somebody named Steve, evidently. Steve, are you there? Steve, are you there? Steve, you're on air. Do you want to join us live? Steve, doesn't sound like Steve wants to join us live. Okay, we'll put Steve back in the waiting room. So if you do want to come on live, be prepared. Be prepared to have a conversation. That's fine. If you want to come on live and have a question asked or offer some advice or some information to people, maybe you're having a challenge that we can all work on together. So if that's you, please, by all means, come on live, click the link in the description. I'll put it again here in the chat on all these channels. I got to go inside and do it manually. LinkedIn does not come over to me when this happens, so I'll put it back. Join me live now. Okay, there you go. Now, the other challenge, the funny thing about LinkedIn is when you share a long string, a long URL, they put it short. So you don't know which one it is. But if you go in the description, there's a whole bunch of resources there, including the join now, click the link. It's an lnkd.in address, which is weird. And then there's the Job Seekers Radio podcast. There's a link to that in there, as well as how to network, anatomy of a networking conversation, etc. There's a bunch of resources in the description. So take advantage of that. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have about networking, interviewing, LinkedIn best practice, etc. So let's see. Chelsea hasn't asked. Chelsea is so good about adding questions in here. Thank you, Chelsea, for adding those questions. If you have a question, I'm here live every Friday, 3:00 p.m. Pacific time, to answer your questions about career. Consider this career happy hour, free coaching for you. Anybody could use some free coaching. So Chelsea asks, anyone here in marketing, go-to-market, launch, program management? How's your job hunt going? I'll leave that for the chat. So the bigger question is, who can we introduce you to, Chelsea, at a target company, not because they have a posting, but because you'd love to work there? Is there a place you'd love to work? And tell me why. Tell me why. I'd really be interested to know from each one of you what's currently top of mind. It doesn't have to be in stone. What's top of mind for you as your number one company you'd love to work for? And I want to know why. And it's not because they have an open posting. Okay. I want to know why. So let me know in the chat. Who's the number one company you'd love to work for? In fact, I'll create a thing. Number one company and why? Answer in chat. Okay. Okay. What's your number one company that you'd love to work for and why? And answer in the chat. So the number one company I'd love to work for, let's say that's Nike. Okay. I'd love to work for Nike. And I know they have an open position for an executive coach, director of executive coaching. And that's something I'd be interested in, but it's just not something that that I'm pursuing right now. But and there's a reason I'd love to work there, because I've seen it on the inside, and there's a lot of great, extremely intelligent people working at Nike that I'd love to be around. And I see the people they're hiring, and they're really good people. And I like the trend with the new CEO. And so there's a lot of reasons why I'd love to work there. And so if you stack up, folks, if you stack up enough reasons to work somewhere that are positive, then going and talking to those people is super easy. So you have all these reasons, and then you have a topic you'd love to talk about, like how can we implement executive coaching programs at a company where there's a matrixed organization going through a reorg. I think that's a compelling question, and that work would be really exciting and interesting to me, at least to me, it would be. So what is it for you? What is the thing that you want to do most? And at what company would you like to do it? And what topic could you come up with to talk around in terms of best practice? So now I'm not reaching out to somebody for a job. I'm reaching out to somebody at an organization I admire, and I know exactly why. And I know what I'm going to talk about with that person, because we have similar interests around how do I support remote and diverse work teams in implementing change through executive coaching, leadership, developing leaders. Oceaneering. All right, that, you know what? Orlando, that sounds kind of exciting. Why oceaneering? Oceaneering, that's a new word for me. Cutting edge robotic technology for subsea oil and gas and space industries. Well, I just heard, by the way, that isn't it SpaceX that's putting like high-speed internet into space or something, low Earth orbit kind of stuff. So I find that interesting. So, I mean, does anybody know anybody in oceaneering, or is that the name of the company? Let me know. Is that oceaneering? Sounds like a domain or a topic, or is your domain and topic around learning and development for the company called Oceaneering? So let me know in the chat. Okay, so Chelsea's got an answer for us. Thank you, Chelsea. HPE affiliates, because I worked there before and loved the matrix org, the hardworking, smart folks, the roadmaps, and solidarity to follow in your career. Good. So what's it going to take? What's it going to take for you to meet, I don't know, 10 people in your area of interest called maybe program marketing, go-to-market, launch, program management, to reconnect? Maybe there's some folks you need to reconnect with. Maybe there's some new people got hired. Maybe you need to check in with them. It's a people-driven business, this job search stuff. It's a people-driven business. Good. So, okay. Thank you for clarifying that, Orlando. Oceaneering is a company. So let me see. Does anybody know anyone at Oceaneering? I'm going to look it up right now. See if I'm connected to anybody there for you, Orlando. Since you were so brave. Well, one person I went to college with got hired there. Deputy Program Director. Would that be good? Deputy Program Director. Okay. Let me see what it says. Oh, also looks like it's a gal, and she was a nuclear engineer in the U.S. Navy on a submarine, and now she's at Oceaneering. She looks fairly young, to be honest. Maybe that's just me. But she's got a master's degree. Might be interesting. So, ski instructor in Colorado. She's got some personal interests. So this is where you pull on a thread. You say, okay, here's the company I'd love to work for and why. Can I identify somebody at that company that has common interest? Common interest could be a lot of things. Could be my interest in, I don't know, what was it? Volunteer firefighting. So if I was a firefighter or a volunteer firefighter, currently or in my past, then I would have something to reach out to and say, hey, I actually read your profile. I'm not reaching out to you cold with a boilerplate connection request. I'm not coming to you with desperation and demand for employment. I'm coming to you based on our common interest that we attended the same university. We also served in the Navy together, and we were both volunteer firefighters at some point in our lives. Okay. And to say, hey, I'd love to have a conversation with you about bridging from military service to civilian work. And how did that work out for you? So now I know that, hey, I'm coming at this person from a common area of interest and really trying to elicit a dialogue. So that's something that I would look at. Good. Thank you, Cleon, for sharing that link for those who are interested. Oceaneering, what's needed with what's next, oceaneering.com. Awesome. Okay, so here's Chelsea again. Thank you, Chelsea. I've gone back to HP and they are hit and miss with organizations' job freezes. Okay, so you don't control that part, but you do control your activities and you can still have conversation with those folks, okay? Also for others, I know that Nike is firing 3,100 people. I also have, I know people interviewing there and are expecting offers and have gotten offers. So just as things are going one direction, they're also going another. So there's opportunity. There's always opportunity, even in firing. So that's the way I look at it. Anyhow, you're welcome, Orlando. We're here to help, man. Hey, so if anybody wants to come on live, I'm happy to do that. Just click the link in the description. If there's anything current, relevant, things you're thinking about. What I'm thinking about right now is holidays. And there are people that are working that are like, wow, either we're back to school or about to go back to school. Here's Labor Day. Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? Most people are probably traveling local. They're not going very far. They might be camping or visiting, doing an overnight or that sort of thing, but they are traveling. And this is an opportunity for you to connect with strangers in a weird way by traveling somewhere. So if you have the capacity to travel, I would say, hey, you know what? One day this weekend, take a break and go somewhere fun. See if you can't bump into, have conversations with, have a serendipitous moment with somebody you don't know. In a good way, of course, in a good way, not in a creepy kind of stalky way. That's, you know what I mean? So anyway, good. So does anybody want to come on live? Is there any other questions I can help you answer today? We're really kind of swirling around the topic of how not to appear desperate on LinkedIn. And that for me is avoiding the open to work photo frame. That's also not feeling compelled to have a current role and experience that says something like open to opportunities, job seeker, or whatever. Now, if you're out starting a business, that's a different situation, right? If you're looking to freelance or start your own business, then by all means, you want that current on your profile if you're standing up a new business. Absolutely. So let's see. I've been using opportunities rather than jobs. What do you mean by that, Cleon? What do you mean by that? Because inherently, if I was to describe LinkedIn to somebody who'd never been there before, how would I describe it? I would describe it as a platform for opportunity. So it's inherent in the platform itself. LinkedIn is a platform for opportunity to connect with people, make partnerships, sell something, buy something, connect with people who have jobs. Yes, but if I connect with a person who has a job, that's a little problematic. That conversation goes a different direction. Yes, have a good weekend, Orlando. Take care now. Thanks for showing. I appreciate you. Good. Yes, have a good weekend. So the other side of this is not having enough information on your profile could be a downside too. I saw a profile just the other day that came up and I had to refresh the page a couple of times to make sure it wasn't an error, because that does often happen. and they had barely anything filled out on their profile. And so they sent me a connect request. I went to their profile. I didn't have anything to go on, had nothing to go on to make a determination. And so I thought twice about it and decided not to connect with that person. I just didn't have enough good vibe about it to say yes. And normally I err on the side of saying yes. So yeah, so Cleon, if you could be more specific on opportunities rather than jobs, that would be great. Because the opportunity you're looking for is a job, right? So even though it's opportunity, you're looking for opportunities to be employed. I'm looking for information, advice, connection to other people around a topic. So that's what we're talking about here. Information, advice, connection to a topic. What is my topic of interest right now? How to engage remote work teams to be productive. How do we do that? Okay. So that's how I would approach it. But that's me. That's me. And your results, your mileage might vary. I also get a lot of weird messages occasionally. Let's see here. What was the one I got? I think I probably deleted it. But I do get a lot of really strange connect requests. I don't know if you guys get those too, but they're so the ones, ironically, I'm in sales and marketing, and the ones that I avoid are the ones from sales and marketing people that just aren't doing it right. So I tend not to connect with those people because they come at me with an ask rather than a contribution. So that's another lesson. So if you want to not be desperate on LinkedIn, don't send messages that come with an ask. Send messages that come with a contribution, something free, a free offer. If I'm in marketing and sales. Now in job search, what would that look like? Well, we could open that up for discussion, but maybe that's something to do with a challenge that you saw somebody post in a group around your domain. Are you in groups? Are you participating in a group, for example, around technology and program management for go-to-market strategy? If you're in that group, what are you offering in terms of contribution? Are you reaching out to people who have a challenge in connecting to an audience of some kind that you've already done? So that's something to think about. Let's see. Chelsea has another question. I've been doing small jobs here and there that are not at all like the work I've done in the past. Good. Continue to do that. That's how you stay sane. Think of that as therapy. That's what I would say. But in terms of putting that on your resume and LinkedIn, I don't think it's relevant. Okay. I don't think it's relevant unless you want to be in building and the type of work you're doing. And the type of work you're doing is if it relates to building and woodworking and those sorts of things, then yes, you would want a resume that talks about your capacity to run projects, build things, read blueprints, that sort of thing. Good. Okay. So Cleon's clarified his opportunities versus jobs. And he says, opportunities allows one to look for places to utilize their skills, as I find too many folks are looking for a job by title or name, yet if they pay attention to what opportunities a company may present. Yeah, generally speaking, though, that is still moderately reactive. I think it's more important to look internally first so that I know myself and what I'm good at, and then talk to people who I think may need that skill or strength and go talk to them around my topic, whatever my topic is, whatever problem I perceive I solve in the marketplace. Okay. What is that for you? Sorry, a little dry, a little parched today. It's a little bit warmer here. Got the AC on, dried out my throat a little bit. And I'd like somebody else to do the talking, but I was hoping to get somebody to come on live so we could help them out. Good. So I appreciate that contribution, Cleon. So messaging. LinkedIn. So one of the challenges I've found with LinkedIn messaging is some people turn off their notification emails so they never know that there's one there. and they maybe visit LinkedIn, I don't know, once every 3 months. So I would maybe shift away from LinkedIn message if I'm not getting a response from somebody, and I might hit up their contact info and send them an email instead. And if there's a phone number there, I might follow up with a phone call. So that's something I've found, that if you take control of that process, people appreciate it. They appreciate that you've taken control, that you're driving a conversation, as long as you're not coming from a position of demand. So that's something to think about. Let's see. Storytelling is a good thing once it is understood. Yeah, I think storytelling is something that people are attracted to. And we talked earlier, I don't know if you're here, Cleon, about the hero's journey. And if you haven't heard or aren't familiar with the hero's journey, it's something to think about. It's an overcomer story. And if there's any way that you can demonstrate to people that you're a human being with purpose and capability and heart, I think that's the way to do it. If you can position all of your experience in a story form, then it's way more compelling to the audience. You are not just a list of keywords. Let's just put it that way. You're so much more than that. So let me know if you have any other questions in the chat. I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, we'll sign off and wish you all a good, happy Labor Day here in the States. Some of you might not have that holiday on Monday. The 7th, I believe, is a U.S. holiday. So whatever that is for you on Monday. I think I've got some appointments on Monday, which is weird. I forgot to block off my calendar, but that's a different story. My own fault. Okay. Well, good. I don't have any other questions here. So outside of your messages, your posts, and your headline, and the first role in experience, let's transition away from desperation or job seeker as a brand. Job seeker is not a brand. And give some thought to the hashtag we talked about, desperate job seeker. You're welcome, Terry. Have a nice weekend. Hope you have a nice cold cocktail waiting for yourself. So good. You're welcome, Chelsea. I appreciate you as well. Spread the news, share this with your network. I'd like to have more people come here. Do you use the wishing I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Cleon. Do you use the wishing happy birthday? Oh, okay. Yes. So one of the ways you can interact with your network, if you've got a list of people already connected to, is wishing them happy birthday. Now you could send that by LinkedIn message, and you could send them a video. So on LinkedIn, through the mobile device, you could send a video of yourself wishing them happy birthday. Or, as Cleon mentions here, if they have a work anniversary or have gotten a new job and you want a personal touch with that person who's kind of in your wheelhouse, maybe a close friend or something, then use your best judgment on that, who you send those kind of video messages to. Otherwise, just a voice message. You could send a voice message as well over LinkedIn messaging. Maybe that's something we talk about in terms of advanced features, but there's a large number of features available on the mobile device that just are not available on the desktop computer. So keep that in mind as you go through and utilize that. So yes, interacting with your notifications bell on the platform is a good strategy. You hit the people with work anniversaries, those who get their new jobs, and birthdays. And that probably only take you, half hour a day maybe? If you have a bigger network, 30 minutes a day. Could you do 30 minutes a day tops of connecting with people and liking their posts and hitting that notification bell and interacting with people in that fashion? I think so. I think it's fairly straightforward. You could do that. Good. All right, folks, have a good weekend. Hopefully we'll see you. Yes, they do. They tell you every day. You're right, Cleon. It's under the notifications tab. Just go to the notifications tab and scroll down and look at your notifications for the day and see if you can't say something to some folks that's nice. Say congratulations for a work anniversary or a promotion, that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, that part would take 5 minutes a day, but I suggest people be in LinkedIn 30 minutes a day, that they go through their notifications, they respond to connection requests, yes or no, and they make connection requests. And then they interact with their feed by liking, sharing, posting, or perhaps writing an article. 30 minutes a day is what I'd recommend for somebody who's in job search mode. And then following up on any requests for informational meetings. So that takes about a half hour. And then maybe a half hour in scheduling maybe some informationals on LinkedIn. So an hour. Could you do an hour a day inside LinkedIn to execute a networking strategy? And then whatever you do after that is up to you, but the objective is to meet one new person a day. Could you do that? Could you meet one new person every day? The answer is yes, you could. The bigger question is, will you? Will you meet one new person today that you didn't know before? Maybe that's somebody in the chat. Maybe you haven't met Terry Smith or Chelsea or Orlando. Okay, I would encourage you to do that. All right, folks, thanks so much. I hope you have a great weekend. Share this out to people you know in your network list. There's a little share button here in LinkedIn and also on the other channels. But share it out if you could, please. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Friday for Career